Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Batman The Long Halloween, I want to do a quick reminder of what this storyline is truly about. But first, I want to remind everyone that this storyline came from Jeff Loeb and Tim Sells, two people who had came together over time to give us some of the most amazing Batman stories ever given to us. Now, with that being said, when it comes to The Long Halloween, it's the whole idea that you have Bruce Wayne, Jim Gordon, and also Harvey Dent agree to go after Carmine Falcone, one of the biggest crime lords in Gotham City. Their main goal is to bring him down. But here comes the big problem though. You see, each holiday, you have some unknown killer who has now been called the Holiday Killer, kill off a family member of Carmine Falcone or somebody who works for his organization as a way to slowly bring him down. And so you have all these different characters in this book trying to figure out who is the Holiday Killer, who is trying to bring down Carmine Falcone. So as we get into the opening pages of this storyline, it's really more of us picking up with Batman and also the Riddler. Now, here's the thing, because with these two characters in the opening pages of the storyline, it's both guys trying their best to figure out who is the Holiday Killer. But for Batman, it's really more of him kind of looking at this in a way of the usual detective work. But for the Riddler, it's him saying hold on, let me look at this case as a riddle rather than do the usual detective work. Now, for the Riddler, he was brought in by somebody else. But either way, you have both men right now trying to build a profile of who the killer could possibly be. Now, for the Riddler, he believes that the killer is most likely Catwoman. Now, here's the reason why. Because the weapon that's currently being used to kill off all these different people is a weapon that's very light and very easily for a woman to use. But also, let's not forget, in the first chapter, you had Batman, you had Catwoman, both go into the office of Carmine Falcone. Now, here's the thing, because they both got caught. As they both left, you had Carmine Falcone say, hey, listen, I'm putting a bounty on both of their heads. $1 million each for Batman and also Catwoman. And so for the Riddler, he's saying it makes sense. You put a bounty on her head. She was caught in your office trying to steal from you. It has to be Selina Kyle. Now, for Batman, he believes it has to be Maroni. And let me explain why. Because for Batman, he's kind of Carmine Falcone is the top level crime lord in Gotham City, the number one spot. Maroni, number two. If Carmine Falcone goes away, who benefits the most out of that? Of course, that would be Maroni. But at the same time, it's Batman saying that's just only a possibility. Now, for the Riddler, it's also him bringing up the fact that it could be Carla. Now, Carla is, of course, the sister to Carmine Falcone. Now, earlier in this storyline, you had Carmine Falcone tell us if anything happens to him, it has to be Carla. But let's not forget, the first person to die in the whole entire storyline that belongs to Carmine's family was Johnny. And Johnny was Carmine's nephew, Carla's son. But here's the thing, it's the Riddler saying, what if she killed off her own son as a way to hide her true identity? Because with her son now being dead, she now has free reign to do whatever she wants, to go after different people in your organization. It does kind of make sense there. And it's also the Riddler saying, let's not forget, when it came to your son Alberto, when he died on New Year's Eve, who was out there with him? Carla was. Nobody else. So all the clues are now kind of pointing at the possibility of her being the killer. Now, you also have Alfred kind of bring up Julian Day. Now, Julian Day is known as the Calendar Man. And usually for the calendar, he's always doing some kind of crazy crime on very special dates to him or to somebody else across the world. It's not just holidays. And so it's kind of well, there is that possibility, but the problem is the records show that he is still in Arkham. So no, it can't be the Calendar Man. So again, who is the holiday killer? But for Alfred, he also does kind of bring up a good point here. He says, well, I might only point out that one's quest for justice, I have seen someone even as sane as yourself behave in the most surprising ways. And so it's basically him saying like, look at Harvey and look at Jim Gordon. Now for Batman, he's kind of like, it can't be Jim Gordon. Like Jim is too, goody two shoe. There's no way he'll cross that line. But for Harvey has been gunning to bring down Carmine Falcone. This man's hoping to find some kind of piece of evidence to lock Carmine Falcone away. And so when it came to Batman, he also thinks back to what happened to one of the previous victims. Harvey did not show any type of remorse for the idea somebody died because of connection to Carmine Falcone. And so for Batman, he's kind of like, there is a huge possibility that Harvey Dent is the killer. Now, we also can't forget this right here. You see, for Harvey and Jim Gordon, really more Harvey, his assistant had found some kind of connection between Carmine Falcone and Bruce Wayne. And so with this supposed connection, we're kind of left to believe, or really Harvey is kind of left to believe, not us, that there's a possibility that Bruce Wayne is the holiday killer. And so now Harvey wants to gun after Bruce Wayne. Now, of course, for Harvey and Jim, they have no idea that Bruce and Batman are the same person. But either way, it's him now saying, let's go have a conversation with Bruce Wayne. Now, we do learn who hired the Riddler. It was Carmine Falcone. Now, for Carmine Falcone, he's not really happy about the idea that the Riddler is not giving him a true, honest answer. For the Riddler, it's all him just guessing like, well, it could be Carla, it could be Catwoman, it could be this person or that person. And for Carmine Falcone, he ain't liking that. And so you have Carmine tell his daughter Sophia to send the Riddler out, which of course she does. Except right after she walks away, that is when you have the holiday killer appear. The thing is, the holiday killer does not kill off the Riddler. Matter of fact, the killer leaves him alive. And so now for the Riddler, he's kind of wondering, why in the world would this holiday killer let me live? Like, it's a holiday. Most likely he knows I was hired by Carmine Falcone. Everything's getting a tad bit more weird. And so now it's time for us to get into Mother's Day. Now, when it comes to Mother's Day, this is Bruce Wayne paying a visit over to Julian's Day. Of course, the guy known as the Calendar Man. Now, for Julian Day, it's really more of Batman trying to figure out if Julian knows who is the holiday killer. Now, here's the thing, because you have the Calendar Man basically kind of tell Batman, you told me a long time ago that you would have been able to capture the person by February. Well, hey, we're now in like May, so technically you were not able to pull that off. Now, you also have Bruce Wayne kind of ask the Calendar Man, like, hey, do you know anything about Harvey Dent? And he says, well, he is a Gemini and his birthday is coming up soon, but why do you ask? Now, before you have Batman being able to continue to interrogate Julian Day, that is when you have a guard come by and fall to the ground. And it says, Batman, help, escape level 4. Now, the terror in the guard's voice tells Batman only one thing. It is the Scarecrow. He has broken free. And this is kind of like a callback because when it comes to the Scarecrow, he had killed off his mother on Mother's Day. Now, it's also Batman realized somebody helped the Scarecrow break out of prison. But either way, for Batman, his main goal right now is to find the Scarecrow to bring him back in, of course. And so you do have Batman chase down Scarecrow. Now, here comes the big problem, though, because once you have Batman believe that he had officially caught up the Scarecrow, he comes to find out the person that he was chasing after was not truly a person. It was a Scarecrow that had fear toxin inside the actual Scarecrow that hit Batman. And so, unfortunately, the Scarecrow was able to get away. But back at Wayne Manor, we pick up with, well, Jim Gordon arriving at Wayne Manor looking for Bruce Wayne. This is Harvey Dent and Jim Gordon doubling down on the idea that they believe that there is some kind of connection between Bruce Wayne and also Carmine Falcone. But on top of that, they believe that Bruce Wayne may be the holiday killer. Now, with all that being said, you have Alfred tell Jim, like, Bruce is not here because it's Mother's Day. This day is truly hard on Bruce Wayne because, as we all know, he lost his parents. But now we pick up with Sophia, the daughter to Carmine Falcone. Now for Sophia, she's looking for, the actual killer, any kind of clues that could possibly help her. And so right now we see her interrogating this one guy to figure out who is the person helping out this holiday killer get the same gun over and over again. And so you had this guy tell her, like, listen, just go over to Chinatown. He go by the name Gunsmith. He's the one with the same gun for this person over and over again. And so we see Sophia head over to the gunsmith shop. Except by the time she gets over there, well, unfortunately, she finds the gunsmith dead. The holiday killer has striked again. This right now is the holiday killer trying their best to clean up their mess, to make sure there's no way any type of information can get back over to them to see if anybody could figure out who they truly are. But now we jump back over to Jim Gordon. And the ending for this chapter is so sad because you do have Jim Gordon being able to find Bruce Wayne. And when you have Jim Gordon find Bruce Wayne, he's in Crime Alley, the same exact spot where his parents died. But of course, he's right now thinking of his mother. Now, here's the thing. The fear toxin is now truly affecting Bruce Wayne. And so when you have Jim walk up to Bruce saying, hey, Bruce, we gotta talk. He looks at Jim, but sees Jim as the same crook who killed off his parents. And so you have Bruce just run away. It is a complete chase scene. But the very last page of this book, we see that Bruce Wayne had ran over to the grave of his mother, telling us he truly does miss her a lot on Mother's Day. But as we get into the third chapter of this storyline, this is where we learn, like, what is the actual connection between Bruce Wayne and Carmine Falcone. So we do get this flashback. With this flashback, when you had Vincent Falcone in charge of the family, he realized his son got shot, Carmine Falcone. And so when it came to Vincent, he realized he couldn't take Carmine over to a nearby hospital. So what he did was he took Carmine over to the home of the Waynes because Thomas Wayne was a surgeon. And so you had Thomas Wayne go ahead and save the life of Carmine Falcone. And because of that, they believe that right there is the connection, that apparently Bruce Wayne and Carmine Falcone had kept their strong friendship ever since that moment. But in reality, for Bruce Wayne, they were never friends at all. And so that is when we jump over to the trial of Bruce Wayne. Now, the trial of Bruce Wayne is like 2 or 3 pages. And that is really it, because once they do call Alfred to the stand, it's Alfred saying, like, when I last checked, Bruce Wayne and Carmine Falcone, they had no connection. They're not friends. And yes, if Thomas Wayne did save the life of, Carmine Falcone, okay, cool. Yes, he should have reported about what happened to Carmine Falcone, but he didn't do that. So yeah, you know what? That's his fault. But he died a few months later. So technically, why are you guys still holding on in that? And the thing is, you should blame Gotham for what had happened to Carmine Falcone and what had happened to Thomas Wayne. And so just like that, you have Alfred being able to help the jury realize Bruce Wayne's innocent. This man's not friends with Carmine Falcone. But now we have to jump over to Maroni as we see him visiting his father, better known as Sal, the Boss Maroni. Now, here's the thing, because for Maroney, he's right now going to his father for some kind of guidance because right now he's losing men left and right. The whole idea of the holiday killer is not just affecting Carmine Falcone, it's also affecting Maroney family as well. Now, with all that being said, while you have the two guys talking to one another, somebody is able to sneak into the garden of Sal Maroni and being able to shoot and kill him. And so we're left to believe that once again, it was the holiday killer because now it's Father's Day now in this chapter. And so the rest of this issue is really being used as a way to show us like, how is Father's Day for different people? Like, for example, when it comes to Carmine Falcone, yes, he lost his son, but he still has his daughter. And you have his daughter give him a gift, but it seems like their relationship is not that strong, or Carmine Falcone is so focused on trying to fix all the wrongs that's being done in his family that truthfully, he can't care for his Father's Day gift. Now, while you have those two characters talking to one another, they have no idea that Selena Kyle is watching them. And for Jim Gordon, he does go home to his family where you see his son having a gift right next to him for Father's Day. A brand new tie that has his son's handprints all over it. Honestly, I find that so cute. But it really shows that for Gordon right now, him and his family, they're staying strong through all this different types of mess that happens in Gotham City. Now, for Harvey Dent, this is a man who's truly broken away because for Harvey, he has been trying his best to find different ways to bring down Carmine Falcone. But unfortunately, every single thing he tries to do, it's not working. Everything he tries to do just keeps going right back to step one all over again to find a different angle to take to hopefully find a way to bring down good old Carmine Falcone. Now, we also get told here that for Harvey Dent, he went to pay a visit to his father, and apparently his father is insane. And seeing his father be insane really does bother him, but also his father gave him a coin. Now, this coin, of course, is very important for the overall character of Two-Face. But as we switch over to Carmine Falcone, we learn here that it was him who helped Scarecrow break out earlier, but also he helped Mad Hatter get out as well. And his goal is to use these two characters as a way to get what he always has been working for in this entire storyline, to have the bank on his side, to be part of his import business. But in reality, for Carmine Falcone, he wants to use the bank as a way to launder money. But either way, now these three characters are going to work together to hopefully achieve that type of goal. But the very last thing we are going to talk about is the whole idea of Harvey Dent being called to his office in the middle of the night, except when he does arrive at his office, he's confronted by Maroni. And this is Maroni saying like, hey, listen, I know that you have been trying to gun for me. Well, guess what? I want to help you get a piece of Carmine Falcone. And so is Harvey Dent and this guy going to work together to hopefully find a way to get Carmine Falcone, but to also find out who is the holiday killer. And this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.